My name is Seth Craven. I was at Snow College, majoring in criminal justice. I hate group work. First of all, I think the biggest problem is that people aren't allowed to choose their groups half the time. If you're not comfortable with the group you're in, then you're not going to tell people what to do. Just because if I do it, I either fail on my own or I succeed on my own. Well, you get things done quicker and it lightens the load a little bit of the amount of work. BYU, Idaho, has your code system thing. Snow College doesn't have that. Group work is basically if the teachers feel like, I only had like 3 classes that I ever had to do group work in. And it was different every time I did it. As far as Snow College goes, there's no group work mandatory system.
Mainly because their philosophy is that when you go out into the real world, you're working with people and you have to work with groups and teams in order to get jobs done, and so they figured you should just do that in the learning environment as well. I did some work at University of Phoenix, and one of their big main emphasis is group work. In fact, half of what you do is with a group. We would choose our own groups. That is the reality of it. When you go out into the world, you have to work with groups. And I work in a dental office, and so obviously there's the small group of the dentist and the assistants, and a financial coordinator maybe, is your small team that you work with every day, and you have to work well together, and everybody has to do their part to the best of their ability. Probably the only thing that's different about having groups in the workplace is that everybody works hard because 1, they're getting paid, and 2, if they don't do a good job, they're going to get fired. So everybody tries to do their best, whereas in school, maybe that incentive isn't there as much. When you have strengths that you pull from different individuals and you pull those together, then you can do a lot more than you can on your own. I think that the teacher can evaluate individually as well as the group. I think that's an important part. I think they tried to do that a little bit with when I was getting my master's degree. They would give an overall grade, but also they would give individual grades too.
We were talking about working in groups in our class, and people were like, oh, group work, and they just didn't sound like they liked it. And everybody had the same feeling that, oh no, I dread group work. This is the worst thing that can happen is group work. And then I started thinking about my own experience. I didn't like group work when I was in college. Everybody I talked to, at this university says, I don't like conflict. And so I started thinking, well, maybe we need to explore what the conflict is, in group work. It's a fairly universal feeling that people dread working. I think primarily I'd like to see people appreciate group work more than they do right now. And I'd also like to see the university start to implement some way to teach and train professors and students how to more effectively work in groups. So, we ask people to teach one another to work into groups, but we never train people on how to do that. So I'd like to see greater training in working in groups. Right now, I don't know of any training that we have that teaches people how to work effectively in groups other than a group dynamics class in the communication department, which, minimal people take, as far as the campus as a whole. Maybe in a year you've got 200 people who take that class, and we're talking 16,000 people on campus. So we're in families, we're in communities, we're in neighborhoods, we're in school, we're in work organizations, we're in clubs, we're in civic organizations, we're in governments. So groups are everywhere, and so it's not something that we can just get away from.